Ladies, are you tired of your brows fading out? Are you tired of your brows smearing? Are you tired of your brows thinning? Well, today I'm going to go over 3 permanent makeup procedures that you can get today to lessen that brow routine and wake up with no makeup. I am excited to talk about this. This is something that I do every day. And if you are new to my channel, my name is Keisha Taylor. I've been a brow artist and esthetician for over 20 years. I own a permanent makeup salon, brow salon. I have my own brow product line. Whatever it has to do with beauty, I've done it. I do it and I'm excited to share it with you. But enough about me. Let's get into this episode. Over 50, over 40. I have 3 solutions that you can do to wake up with no brow makeup and get those brows that you always wanted. The first procedure I'm going to get into is microblading. We all know microblading. It came out of Europe, Asia, wherever people want to say. But microblading is implanting small incisions into your skin with a small pin that looks like this with a blade on the end. Microblading is simulated strokes into the epidermis layer of the skin, so the outermost layer of the skin, to give you full, natural looking brows. Everybody is not a candidate for microblading. For us mature ladies, our skin may not be as supple as skin of a 20-year-old. So you want to be careful with taking the blade to your skin. And you cannot do this yourself. Let me just put this disclaimer out there. You cannot do microblading by yourself. It is definitely and highly not recommended because we are cutting into the skin and you need to go to a professional, licensed, certified permanent makeup artist or permanent makeup brow artist. This is not to be played with, okay? Research, research, research. Microblading is considered a tattoo procedure, although it is semi-permanent and it lasts about 12 to 15 months. Sometimes if an artist go too deep into your skin, it could cause a permanent tattoo. So this is one procedure. If I, just like you are going to get plastic surgery, please, you have to research your artist. You have to research these procedures, period. And you definitely have to go in for a consultation first before you make that decision. This is your beautiful face, and you do not want to trust your beautiful face in anybody's hands until you are 100% sure that you want to get this procedure done. Back to a microblading. So microblading create hair-like strokes in the epidermis region of the skin. Microblading is a very beautiful procedure. And if you don't have any brows, it is a good solution to turn to get that permanent look, waking up without any brow makeup. So that is true. That is true. And again, with these permanent makeup procedures, you get your initial procedure and then you go back in about 6 to 8 weeks and you get a touch-up procedure. And then at that time, it's an annual procedure after that. So you do have to invest a good amount of money because these procedures, depending on where you live at, could be $500 and over. We're in the DMV area, so prices are pretty high. And I'm talking maybe about 800 to 1500, depending on your artist, depending on the experience, depending on the level of education. This is not a procedure to look at the lower price. The lower price option is not going to do you any good when it comes to a procedure like this, especially when we're talking about a tattoo on your face. Because like I said, although these procedures are semi-permanent, it's still considered a tattoo, body artistry, okay? So that's microblading. Microblading is recommended for normal to dry skin. If you have oily skin, microblading is not recommended. But we have our second procedure that we're going to talk about today, and that's called powder brow, ombre powder brows, or micro shading. This is done with the machine and a single needle. It's not done with a blade. It's done with the machine and a needle attached to it, just like this. You have your machine, you have your cartridge, and again, you cannot do this at home. Do not do this at home. Please don't do this don't even. I'm not even showing y'all this. This is pretty much just for educational purposes so that when you or if you go and book an appointment at a brow salon or a permanent makeup salon, you are informed in some kind of way about permanent makeup, about the machine that will be used on your skin. With powder brows, you are looking at a machine similar to a tattoo machine. We call it permanent makeup machines, tattoo devices, rotary devices, and we have a needle cartridge attached to it. And this is how we shade the area for powder brows. Powder brows is done on the epidermis layer of the skin, the outermost layer of the skin. That's where the powder brows is done at. So it is superficial, and powder brows last about 9 to 12 months, depending on age, lifestyle, and skin type. Everybody is a candidate for powder brows. It doesn't matter if you are aging or if you are young or if you have mature skin, dry, oily, normal. Anybody can get powder brows. Powder brows is a spin-off of the traditional tattoo. So the traditional tattoo that we used to see back in the day just look like kind of like a marker or a stamp. Well, powder brows is a spinoff from that, a modern spinoff. So it's very natural looking. You can get powder brows bold, dramatic, or very soft. So you can do a range with powder brows, which makes powder brows a really good choice. It looks good on people that have hair, and it looks good on people who don't have any hair. I highly recommend the powder brow technique over microblading sometimes because it's less traumatic to the skin. We apply a 3D shaded technique to the brow area to give you the illusion of a powder brow, which look like brows that have powder on it. You can get a ombre look, which is light in the front and then it gradually gets darker. That is one of the looks that I primarily recommend because it's more natural. Whether you decide to do a bold look or a natural look, the ombre look is very natural. You don't want to get a powder brow with a squared or harsh front because that's going to bring a lot of attention right here in this area and not your overall face. If you are a mature lady, you don't want to get, and I keep explaining this, you don't want to get any harsh looking Cruella de Vil brows. Okay. No Cruella de Vil brows. You want brows to look soft like Snow White, like the princess. With powder brows, it's still recommended to get your initial session. And then after your initial session, a 6 to 8 week touch up. And then after that, an annual touch up. Again, this is a brow investment, and you will have to upkeep this look for it to always look fresh, polished, nice, and clean. And you want to keep the brow groomed with powder brows because powder brows, like I said, looks like you just had a waxing pen or waxing powder put on. It's a really nice everyday look. Our third procedure is one of my favorite, and I mean favorite all-time procedures that was ever invented in the world of permanent makeup, and that is called nano brows. The nano brow procedure is my favorite, and it's my most requested procedure here at Brows and Company. So I do nano brows about 90% of the time. 90% of my appointments are the nano brow procedure. Nano brows is similar to microblading because it's a hair stroke technique, but it's less traumatic to the skin than microblading because we're not cutting into the skin. And nano brows last longer than microblading because we're going into the basal layer of the skin. We're going a little bit deeper than the epidermis, but we're not going into the hypodermis, which would make it permanent like a tattoo. Because we're going into the basal layer of the skin, nano brows last a little bit longer. It can last 15 to 24 months, a year and a half to 2 years. It is a high investment, and you do have to research your artist to make sure that you are getting a skilled technician or artist for nano brows. Nano brows is not one of those procedures where, as Asian women, we don't want to go to, I'm sorry, and some people might be mad at me for this, but we don't want to go to a new artist for nano brows. Nano brows require precision and just overall experience, okay? Experience with brow artistry, from brow mapping to hair stroking. It's not as forgiving as some of the other procedures like powder brows or like microblading. This is a procedure that can be done on any skin type, but it's best recommended for dry to normal skin types. Nano Brows is done with the same machine as we do powder brows on, but it's done with a small nano needle. One small nano needle versus 12 needles on a blade for microblading. And powder brows is one needle as well. So that's what makes powder brows and nano brows less traumatic than microblading. I love a good microblading technique. I love to do microblading. I teach microblading. And we do have some clients that get microblading, but if I can convince the client to get nano brows, then I'd rather go with the nano brows because of the less trauma to the skin. I hope that I explained these procedures really quick. If you have any questions or if you are considering getting permanent makeup, click on the link below and schedule a consultation. I can help you find a great permanent makeup artist in your area, or we can just have a consultation and I can tell you what procedure is best for your skin type. I'll have a permanent makeup guide below. And I also have a free guide below that will tell you what to expect out of a in-person consultation. If you decide to go the permanent brow route, you have a blueprint to go by. Or if you want more information on permanent makeup and different permanent makeup procedures, I'll also put a link to another guide that we have about that. Again, I'm Keisha Taylor, and if you found this video valuable to your overall beauty routine, please give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe, comment below if you have permanent makeup, if you like your permanent makeup, if you recommend it to other ladies, the other mature ladies out here. Let me know. Let me know what you think about permanent makeup. I'm always game to talk about brows, beauty, skin, and permanent makeup, and I'll see you in the next video.